What's going on, everyone? It's Rob and Jonny. Welcome to episode 16 of the MMArcade Podcast. Rob, how have you been going this week so far, man?
I've been going very well, mate. But to say 16, because we said 15.5 because that was going to be the catch-up episode. It was just as long as every other episode.
We do this every time, literally every podcast. I think
we ripped ourselves off there. But yeah, hey, 16.
Episode 15.5, bro. Did really well. Everyone's comments came out. Well. It came out in numbers to watch the episode, and we hit a bit of a milestone after that podcast episode too.
We did 10,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you so much to all our listeners and viewers at home that subbed to the channel and made 10K possible. I understand that this is just the start for us, but without your support, we wouldn't be here. But on that as well, just the love and support you guys have given to us and to myself in the comments of last episode, it means a lot, and it's the fuel that charges us and it pushes us forward and makes us excited to push these out every week. So thank you to you guys.
100%. And honestly, speaking for myself, cannot wait for the next milestone, 50K, 100K. We're going to see it to the end, brother, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
That's it. Until there's enough, until we get enough subs, I don't need to jump into the octagon with half naked men anymore. You know, that's the dream. That's the dream.
So subscribe if you want to help him.
Subscribe. Tell your friends. Everybody's been yelling out of their windows. Do that.
Absolutely.
But let's kick this off.
For sure. We've got a stacked episode this week, and so everyone knows as well. The next few episodes we are going to be recording in advance a little bit. This episode will be pretty much as normal, but for the next couple of episodes, we'll just be doing breakdowns of upcoming fights and won't be able to speak about fights that just occurred because I'll be going on holiday. So this week's going to be busy for us, and that's starting tonight. We're going to be talking about some rumors, apparently, Rob, around UFC 295 and the middleweight division. We're going to be doing a fight night recap of Aspinall and Tybura, and finally a breakdown of UFC 291. Got some awesome co-main and main events at that card. So first of all, Rob, I wanted to bring this up because I saw it caught my eye. It's relevant to our discussion last week about who you potentially might fight next. So apparently the inside money is that at UFC 295, Derek Brunson might be fighting Roman Dolidze. Now, he was the person that I thought would be a good shot for you, but apparently people are saying in the comments he had already signed up to fight someone else, and apparently it might be Derek Brunson. So first of all, what do you think about that? And second, where might that leave you in terms of who you could be fighting next? Because I know you said you want to be fighting in November.
Yeah, but you see as well, remember we ruled out Sean Strickland because we thought he was fighting Izzy in September, but that doesn't look to be happening anymore.
Who knows what is happening, bro?
I can't see Sean Strickland jumping Dricus if they don't fight September.
Correct.
You know? So I'm not going to rule him out of the discussion of next fight. We're going to have to wait and see. It's one of those. Yeah. It's one of those things. The division is kind of backed up at the moment, and there's a lot of moving pieces. They're just not moving in the way that I want them to. But regardless, I'm going to focus on just getting back onto that winning track. I'm excited for the training. I'm back at training already. I've been back at the gym hustling, and I am more eager than ever to get back in there. So I don't know who it's going to be, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, a lot of people in the last episode too.
I'm a modern day poet.
A lot of people in the last episode were also saying Cannonier's on a bit of a on a streak as well. So even though you've fought before and you beat him then, he could also be a potential good candidate too. So we've got Strickland with whatever happens with Izzy. We've got Cannonier. Maybe the winner of Dolidze and Brunson if they are actually fighting, but that's happening later in the year at 295. So who the hell knows what's happening, to be honest.
That's it. The division's just like that right now.
Yeah. So the next topic that we have is our recap of UFC Fight Night. The main event was Tom Aspinall and Marcin Tybura. Rob, we watched that like just before the podcast because it was that short of a fight. Can you break it down?
Yeah.
What did you think of the fight? How did you feel Aspinall went? Yeah,
I had some things on. I had some things on, and I couldn't catch the fights. But
Rob messaged me. He was like, "Bro, drama. I haven't watched the fight yet."
Yeah, yeah. I got to say, more so than breaking down that specific fight, because there's 2 minutes of footage to break down. And if you want to go off that, you can just look. Tom Aspinall was too fast. He was using his range perfectly. He was moving in and out, feinting, getting feeds, and then when he saw the shot with that stepping elbow is the end of the story. But I think what's bigger than breaking down this fight, okay, because like I just said, it's Tom Aspinall was controlling the distance. He was feinting very well. He was too quick. He looked leagues ahead of Tybura. Now, I think the bigger thing to take from this fight is just the direction the heavyweight division is going. Your Tom Aspinall, your Cyril Gahns, your John Joneses, your Stipe Miocic's, the better athlete heavyweight is starting to come to the forefront. There's starting to become such a discrepancy between your prime athlete heavyweights and your big boys that hit hard. And I think this is a trend that's been coming for a while. And ever since the early days, like Cain Velasquez, Cain was so good because he was so much faster than a lot of the other heavyweights. Not to mention he was very skilled at what he did, but he was just so much faster and stronger and fitter and athletic. And I think with the current division and the way the heavyweight division is going, it's just it's much like every other division is now, but it's starting to catch up. And we're seeing those super athletes, those heavier super athlete guys that have to cut down to that weight division because they're lean and big, start to really showcase their skill sets.
Dude, it's really exciting. And obviously, it was all expedited because Jones moved up, right? And he's such an incredible fighter. What I'm very interested in, because Aspinall is such a great, I call him a prospect. That might be underestimating it, but he could potentially be in the running eventually to fight John Jones. And that's a discussion for another podcast. But what he was saying in terms of what's next for him after beating Tybura, he said this, and I'm going to quote him verbatim, "I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to sit in the front row and see Cyril Gahn versus Sergey Spivak. I'm going to beat the winner, and then I'm going to beat John Jones." What do you think about, it's hard. You have to predict who's going to win out of Gahn and Spivak, but what do you see, happening after that fight and then Aspinall versus the winner of that?
In terms of him fighting Jones?
I mean, first the winner of Gahn and Spivak, because he's already beat Spivak, right, previously. It was a brutal knee, and then he went down for the TKO. But what do you think of, him fighting Gahn, for instance?
Well, it was like a knee elbow. I think Tom Aspinall's just got he's got a range of skill sets. He's got the athletic ability behind it. He's fast. He's light on your feet. He's just got a really, really winning skill set in the naturally heavier, slower guys. He hits just as hard as every other big boy, but he's fast, and that is such a strong attribute to have in this division.
Yeah,
Cyril Gahn is fast too. Okay, I'm very curious to see how that fight plays out, because I think you would have to think Tom would be the more well-rounded MMA artist, mixed martial artist.
Yeah.
So he's going to look to take advantage of him closing the gap, crowding Cyril and taking him down, grappling him, much like John Jones took such advantage of.
Yeah. And
as well as everybody Nagano took advantage of as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, since Gahn lost to John Jones, he would have had to, and since he lost to Nagano as well, he's been working on that aspect of his game, that hole in his game. So I'm very curious to see how that fight goes. I think we'll see a bit of a stand-up fight, which is anybody's money on two fast guys. Because yes, while they say the pedigree of Cyril Gahn is like kickboxing, and he's very high level kickboxer, mate.
Yeah.
We're not kickboxing right now. are in the octagon doing MMA, and Tom's very good at striking in MMA. So I'm interested to see how that go, and how I'm more interested to see how Cyril comes back from losing to Jones.
For sure,
mate. There's no real ceiling on Aspinall at the moment. He's on a roll. He's tearing it up, and he looks leagues ahead of everybody else.
For sure. And Spivak as well. I mean, he could actually beat Gane. Gane might be lacking a little bit of confidence after that pretty vicious loss to Jones. He's on a win streak after beating Hardy, Sakai, and Lewis. So he could actually beat Gane. And then, Aspinall and Spivak could have their rematch. That could go either way. I still think, though, in terms of like prospects of who can beat Jon Jones, Aspinall's probably at the top there. I don't see Miocic beating Jones, to be honest. So it's going to be very interesting, and I'm excited because, as you said in that previous fight that just took place against Tybura, he, even after coming back from that knee injury, how good did he look? I love how he started the fight throwing that leg, and he's like, all right, it's good to go. Let's jump into it. And he was just so loose on his feet. He was so quick.
And that head kick
was an
was
exciting
fast.
Fighter. I know,
fast,
right?
Mate.
Came out of nowhere.
For such a big guy to throw that leg so fast, and that set the pace for the entire fight. You saw that head kick put Tybura on notice.
Yeah.
Amazing fight. And honestly, it was a wicked way to wrap up the fight night.
For sure. And next up, we've got a bit of a breakdown now of UFC 291. There are some really exciting fights in this card, but the two that we want to talk about, for sure, dude. Main event and co-main. Let's talk about the main event. Dustin Poirier against Justin Gaethje. I'm definitely going to confuse that. Dustin, for the BMF title, the title that you absolutely love, Rob. Yeah. That's what they're fighting for. Poirier obviously coming off a win against Chandler and a loss against Oliveira. Very similar for Gaethje, win against Fiziev and a loss against Oliveira as well. Last time Poirier defeated Gaethje via TKO. That was a while back though. Rob, break this one down for us. How do you see this fight going?
Oh, mate, what a fight this is going to be. And honestly, out of the two guys, nobody wins this fight. Poirier and Gaethje, neither one of these dudes win this fight. This is going to be that sort of fight. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be an amazing fight, regardless for what it's for, or it's going to be an amazing fight. I think I saw their first fight, and the Gaethje that fought then is a very different Gaethje that we see today. That beat Fiziev last fight. Gaethje was on a bit of a slide then, I want to say, because he wasn't fighting as smart as he could have. He was fighting very reckless. He was going out there with just a mindset to bite down on the mouth guard and outslug his opponents. And you saw him do that a couple times, but then something clicked, something switched, and he shot up in terms of his decision making in the fight, his defensive work, like mid combos, his defensive and counter work, in taking shots and giving shots. This is a very different Gaethje than when they first fought. And if I was going to have to pick someone, this would be the one fight I think is where it would be the closest fight you'd have to pick, that this could be very well end in a draw, because I don't see, both guys are very happy to leave on their shield. Both guys are very good defensive strikers. Both guys have excellent wrestling, takedown defense, and offensive wrestling. Both guys are tough as nails. They're both very good at absorbing shots and firing shots. They're very similar in styles to a degree, and
they're the same person. Yeah. I have a theory that they're the same person, just different reincarnates.
Have you ever seen them in the same room?
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a crazy fight to try and tip one or the other. That's why I do think if you're going to pick a draw, this would be it. I'd be even curious to see what draws are paying in Unibet for this fight right now, because
it's a good shout.
Shout out Unibet. But honestly, this would have to be the closest fight. A draw would be, I don't know, because even in that first fight they had.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, if we're talking odds, I wanted to add that Poirier is the odds-on favorite. It's not a big margin, but he's the one that's tipped, and maybe it is because that he won the last fight, but that's what the odds say at the moment anyway. So I read a few predictions like I usually do. Some people agreeing with what you said about Gaethje. He has improved significantly when it comes to his defense in particular, but Poirier has improved too. It's been a while since their last fight, but yeah, people are saying overall that Poirier is the slight favorite.
Okay. If I did have to get off my fence that I love so much. Okay,
so much.
I think the Gaethje we saw fighting Fiziev, I think he could do it. I think he can get it done. I think because their first fight wasn't a landslide by any margin. It was a tight fight.
It was a tight fight.
And Gaethje's growth since that fight has been so exponential, I feel, that I would have to, comparatively to Poirier, I don't see as much growth. Granted, he was always a good fighter, so that, he didn't. Yeah, he's always been just that tried and steady, tested, consistent fighter. But I just, I'm going to back Gaethje. I'm going to back Gaethje with that one.
Yeah, I'm the same as well. I don't see Gaethje, especially with his improved defense. I also don't see him putting himself in the same position where he, got that TKO or was awarded against the TKO. Because if you remember that fight, he went in for this crazy leg kick and his guard just went straight down. Poirier took advantage. And this boom, 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 that was a TKO. I just don't see him doing that this time. I think he's way too smart now as a fighter, and he still has heavy hands. I think it's probably going to go the distance, and I would give the slight edge to Gaethje. Maybe we're talking about three to 2 rounds, definitely. Something like that.
And you just mentioned it, like the hole that really that lost him that last fight was his defense, and I feel like his defensive game has gone through the roof since that fight. So I think Gaethje can edge it out, but. Like I said, if you're going to tip on a draw, this is the fight to do it.
For sure. I mean, if they do draw, then who's the BMF title go to? Such a shame.
Right.
Next up.
Shut up, man.
Next up, we've got Jan Błachowicz against Alex Pereira. All right, this is a fight that a lot of people are looking forward to, obviously because Pereira is moving up in weight. Very excited to see this one. Rob, break it down for us. How do you see this one going, especially from someone that was in the same division as you? You never ended up fighting him. How do you see Pereira doing in this division at light heavyweight against someone that used to be the champ?
He was like a mythical beast, bro. He was in division, beat Izzy, then bounced out. I never even saw him. I'm just going on people's rumors that he was there. I think this is an interesting fight. I think this is a really hard fight for Pereira's introduction into the heavy hitters. But in saying that, Pereira's a giant dude. Giant. It's silly how big he is. You see him in photos. Like, he makes heavyweights look small. I do not understand how he got to middleweight.
Neither.
That is unreal. But mate, it is a tough fight to predict because you don't know how Pereira's going to be with the power difference. Okay, because we saw when Błachowicz, oh man,
you're thinking of the character from Wolfenstein.
Mate, it's still me in Jan. All right, I'm just going to call him Jan. Jan has had a bit of a tough run since Izzy. You saw in the Izzy fight that Izzy couldn't take advantage of the situation as he does a lot of middleweight fights, just because of the sheer power difference.
Yeah.
And because the heavyweight boys, especially young, like they hit heavier because they're bigger boys. And that power difference is definitely going to have an impact into this fight. Who is the technically better striker? Definitely Alex Pereira.
100%.
Like definitely, hands down. I can see Alex utilizing a lot of his kickboxing skills to really try and pick apart Jan before he goes in to put him away. That is my biggest question mark on when Pereira, man, these names are doing me today. When Pereira goes in, okay, to capitalize on this fight, right? Yeah. That is the question mark I have, is how Jan acts in that contest, in that clash, in that exchange, because that's where Pereira got caught against Izzy, and Jan is, I think that's Jan's best boat into landing big shots on Pereira. Not to mention that the threat of the takedown is going to be there the entire fight. Bigger boys, but Pereira's been working on that non-stop. With Glover, you see it non-stop on his socials. So yeah, they're the question marks I have in this fight.
For sure.
If I had to pick one, oh man, I really like Jan though. I don't want to tip people like I like so much. Can I be biased? How does that work?
You can be a little bit, yeah, of course. I would say that when we were looking at Izzy against Jan beforehand, like, because of Jan's frame, he just looked so much bigger. I can't remember the weight difference, but he was just able to overpower Izzy like that. I don't see that being able to happen so easy against Pereira because he's just a bigger dude. And as you said, how the hell did he cut down to middleweight? So I don't see that being as much of a factor, but we've just seen that if Pereira drops his guard, Jan's going to smack him and he's going to get dropped. So it's very, very interesting. And I actually think that even though Jan, like, technically, he actually won a fight since losing to Izzy because of the previous fight. Was it a knee injury or something? Then the knee blew out, so he won that by TKO, and then he drew with Ankalaev. So even though he hasn't won
since he beat Izzy, right?
Yeah, since he beat Izzy. Sorry, since he beat Izzy, he hasn't technically won. So I still think that he's the favorite to me. He has. I don't know how I felt about that draw, but
he's had a rough go. That Ankalaev's a hard dude in that division, man. He's a hard guy to get around. But yeah, and this is always the tricky part with predicting guys that move up in divisions, is you don't know how the power difference is going to show itself, how it's going to impact their usual means of fighting. Like I said, I think Pereira is going to utilize his kickboxing and range to keep on the outside of Jan. He's going to use a lot of kicks, that calf kick he loves so much. He stands very upright and he stands very square, which makes you think you can get in, but he's very good at subtly leaning back and throwing those check hooks or leading with them. And he's got a lot of whack in his punches. But I do think he's going to be using his kickboxing from the outside until he sees that he's done enough to go in for those hooks and those power shots that he likes throwing. And Jan's going to have to make it a dogfight. He's going to have to try and close that gap with Alex. He's going to try and close the gap with him or wait for Alex to come in and then turn it into an ugly exchange. He needs to mix up. He needs to mix up takedowns and wall pressure to start wearing out Alex's arms, because the bigger guy, he might not be used to the energy exchange with bigger guys in the octagon. It's Jan needs to make it a dogfight. Alex needs to fight technically very clean as. That's, for sure. That's how they win.
So who do you think? Who are you going to give your tip to?
Oh,
I'm going to say Jan. I reckon Jan is going to do it, and I know that's probably, I don't know, I haven't checked the odds on this one. I'm going to assume that Pereira is the favorite, and everyone is hoping that Pereira does win. I think, anyways. And Jan is getting a bit older, but I still think that he's going to pip him.
Yeah, I think Jan wins by decision. Okay.
Wow. You think this is going to go the distance?
I do. I can see Jan making it a dogfight and grinding him out up against a wall, taking him down. There have been some exchanges on the feet, both guys playing super safe and it playing out that way. You know, I do think Pereira has a real high chance of winning, but like just by points, I think he can just keep him on the outside, land more leg kicks, land more punches, and win that way over 3 rounds. I think it's very possible. But I'm going with Jan because I like Jan a lot.
Alrighty. Both of us going with Jan, and obviously we predicted Gaethje to win as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But Rob, that is our breakdown of UFC 291. Next up, we've got some games news, unless you have any other UFC you want to talk about.
That's it. The UFC recap, UFC Fight Night London. It was in London? It was in London. And
was it in London? Good question. I'll just say that.
Do they do it anywhere else in England?
That's a really good question. I've only seen Fight Night. You were right, though. It was in London. There you go.
Okay, so UFC Fight Night London recap and UFC 291 breakdown. Main events, co-mains. Time for games, mate.
Let's move on to it. And by far the biggest and most controversial games news this week was about Ubisoft maybe deleting your games. So I'll explain the context on this. Over the weekend, someone had received this email from Ubisoft that was like, hey, you haven't logged into your account in a while. If you don't log in 30 days, we're going to essentially close your account due to inactivity. And the person that received this was like, hey, I have games tied to this account. This means that Ubisoft can kind of delete your games unless you've logged in, kind of recently. And it got people really worried and scared, and rightfully so. We didn't have the information at the time. And then even their support account was like, yeah, the email is legitimate. You need to log in. Otherwise, your account's going to be declared as inactive. So in an email to IGN, Ubisoft actually clarified its stance on these decisions. It says that it's had a deletion of inactive accounts policy for many years, and that's to comply with GDPR. But it will also clarify that so long as you have an account that has games tied to it, it will not be deleted. Like, that's their policy. They don't delete accounts that have games tied to them. But it's just started this overall discussion, Rob, about physical versus digital, and people worried about, you don't actually own your games anymore and all this kind of stuff. So what do you think about this? Because everyone is getting riled up over it.
I got a question first.
Yeah.
So that guy that had his account like almost deleted, or not even almost deleted, he got an email.
Yeah,
so
correct.
The guy that got brought to attention that his account was going to be deleted unless he said he had games attached to the account.
I don't think he said that, but I think what he implied was because he received this email that anyone could receive it, even if you had games, and therefore you could lose your games. So if we believed Ubisoft on this, he never would have received that email if he had games attached to his account. So I don't think he would have said that.
Okay, so when I was reading through the news, right, little run sheet we have, as I was reading through that, your Ubisoft is like account deletion. I was like, no worries, and I was right click uninstall Ubisoft, like straight away, until the last sentence that accounts that include purchased PC games are not eligible for deletion.
Yeah,
and that, mate, I'm sure if you read the fine print in just about every other platform, game platform, what are they called? Like browser, like they've probably all got it in fine clause that your accounts can be deleted at some point for inactivity if you haven't purchased anything solid. And what Ubisoft games are free? Like, sure, buy a $5 game, guys. Like, and people, I don't know that brings me to something else. Okay, I'm gonna tangent here to the.
Do it.
There's a class of people. There's a class of people that play games. All right, that hate spending money on their games.
For sure.
Like, it makes them cry blood if they have to spend. If they hear someone bought a skin for $1 or $2, they cry blood. They cry like, mate, spend money on what you enjoy. You spend money on your games. Like, open your wallet, dust it out, buy a $5 game. I'm sure Ubisoft's got like a game for $3. You don't want to spend $3 on a browser that, like, make the commitment, like, support the cause. Like, I'm just picturing all those dudes going through like backdoor codes, like free codes for this, free codes for that. Like, chill out. I understand. Like, free games are free games, but like, when you have the money, make the investment. You know.
And as you were saying before, so literally, like, if you were to go into the fine print of many of these companies, and it's not just games, it's also like Google, for instance, they have a new policy where if you haven't logged into a Google account in 2 years, it can be deleted. A lot of this, yes, it is to comply with Europe's data protection laws. They essentially dictate how long you can hold someone's personal information for. So it's trying to comply with that stuff, for one. But also, two, the thing that I think people, and it's kind of shitty in some ways, but people sometimes don't understand, when you're buying a game or a product from these services purely digitally, you technically don't own it. You actually own a license to play that game. And that can be taken away at any time for whatever reason. If you get banned, if you do something shit, you can get your account banned. You'll never be able to play that game again, even though you spent the money on it. So that is just the reality of the world that we're living in now. I can understand why people are frustrated by it, but are we real? What I question is, are we really going to go back to the days where we're purely playing on discs, and yet I own this thing physically, and you know what I mean? Like, there's so many benefits from being able to buy games digitally that I just can't see us going back. And this is just the reality that we're in.
And all right. Let's do it. Let's do it. To all you guys out there, that this part is for you. Okay, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. Okay, discs, cassettes, tapes, cartridges. It's over. Had a good time. But, mate, just conform to the cloud. The cloud needs you, mate. Like, it makes life so much better digitally. Yeah. It's like when I like books. Mentioned it a couple of times. Used to spend hundreds of dollars on books, physical books. Now they're all getting molded in my garage because I have a Kindle. Okay, it took me forever to get a Kindle. The Kindle was one of the best purchases I've ever had because, mate, I finished the second book. I want the third book, not when I go to the shop next week. Now I can just press it, buy now, one click. Like, it changes your life. Same with games. Like, the idea of having to drive to EB Games to go pick up a game, like that sounds like the actual worst thing in the world. like whatever game I wanted to play, don't want to play it anymore. Okay, and I was that kid who used to like sit out the front of Video Easy until they opened. Okay, so
Video Easy, damn.
I have commitment to the cause, but it's time to just. Especially in the day and age we are now, everything is electronic and digital. Everything. It's time to just conform. Join us. Join us in the Matrix.
Yeah. And what I would like to say as well about this topic is that, one, people did jump to conclusions about what this actually meant, and then Ubisoft would be like, hey, we're not actually deleting your account if you have games to it. But also as well, that like you've seen this, Rob. There's so much negativity in games, and I've engaged in it a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not speaking from a high horse here, but it is getting really toxic. Like, we're always looking at reasons to try and hate on publishers, and there are times, a lot of times, I do stuff that's legitimately wrong. But in this instance, waiting for a little bit of clarity probably would have been the better approach, because before they clarified it to IGN, people were shitting on them.
Yeah, and clearly because the dude that got the email just cried wolf, and then just spread it everywhere, and anyone that would listen. And as soon as one of the publicists or reporters or journos, they got a hold of it, they just clickbaited the absolute hell out of it to high heaven to to make it to a point where it's now in the games news on one of the biggest podcasts in Camden. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that it's getting airtime here.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Absolutely.
But can I just say, now this is to anyone that is still on the fence on like whether to truly conform to the cloud. I keep referring it to the cloud, but I'm talking about all digital game platforms, especially the ones that have cloud saving, which most of them do. But can you remember when you used to, like, for whatever reason, you had a game you wanted to play, but somehow or rather you've left your memory card at your mate's place or your dad's car or your mum's thing, and you had the game you wanted to play, but you didn't have a memory card? Do you remember how much it sucked playing that game without a memory card?
For sure.
Yeah.
Or like, and those things, break as well. They decay. They stop working. Like, it sucks.
Do you remember how bad that was? Or like your memory card being full. Remember how many memory cards you ended up having? Like the guys that are complaining about these games probably don't even remember what memory cards are.
They don't realize how we used to have it.
Mate, back in the day, we used to have to etch our saves into these little plastic things and just come in the cloud, mate. It is life-changing to be able to just flick on your laptop and play your latest save anywhere in the world at any given time.
Yeah. Dude, the amount of times that I've downloaded a game, the game that I always give as an example is Fallout 4. I'll uninstall it because I've done playing it, and then I'll reinstall it a year, 2 years later, and all my saves are just there. That is just that level of convenience is insane, right?
The best. And also, if there are some guys listening that are like, absolute, you can't take my game away, I want it, it's mine, just download it, go offline, and never come back. Just play on your version 0.08 or like 1.0 that hasn't had the 10,000. That's another thing that's so great about these games. The updates, man. The bug fixes and that didn't happen back in the day. No. If there was a bug on a disc, it was there forever. DLC, dude. Oh my goodness.
So that is what we think about Ubisoft's situation. Ubisoft, you didn't quite deserve that level of hate for the 2 days there that occurred.
To all you whingers out there, chill out. Just let it go. You touched on it before, the negativity that's in the gaming space sometimes. And it's not just the gaming space, it's everywhere. Like, it starts with you. Be positive. Send out positive energy, be happy, be merry. Don't like the guys that are handling these tweets and comments and have to look up like the YouTube on like why Ubisoft's getting smashed. They're people. They're people. You're upsetting them.
For sure. Next games topic that we had to talk about. We've talked about this before, Rob. So PlayStation's Project Q. That's the little gaming handheld thing that they have, which you can stream your PlayStation 5 games to. There was a bit of a leak. We saw it in action a little bit. Now, obviously, we don't endorse someone leaking this. Please don't leak anything more. But now that it's public knowledge, we'll talk about it. So the little handheld device is running Android. It did a bit of a tear down and it looked like at the device. It essentially is a screen squeezed and sandwiched in between like a PlayStation 5 controller. It is the funniest looking thing in the world. I think it looks ridiculous, but I like the PS5 controller, so maybe I'll like it. And it's not detachable either. So it's not like a Nintendo Switch where you can like slide the sides of the controllers on or off. It's a physical device like that. So it looks kind of cool, Rob. I don't know like if you've changed your thoughts on what you think of the Project Q for PlayStation, but I'm all ears.
Yeah, I told you. Remember, we spoke about it the first week and then we spoke about it at a later date again. And I said that I might be – it's all kind of just depending on the price because the idea of playing your PS5 game in bed, while your missus is watching another show, because a lot of the time that happens for me anyway. Like she wants to watch something, not interested in it, and like I'm reading a book or something else. So that sounds pretty cool, depending on the price, because it's the price. So I don't think it replaces any of the other handheld device. Like it's not a replacement for the Switch by any margin, but it might be a cool accessory, and I guess that's what it is in my head, an accessory.
Yeah, it's for people that already have PlayStation 5s. Like, you're not like buying a PlayStation 5 because you can now buy or potentially buy the Project Q and stream your games to the screen. And to be fair, you can do that now already. Like there's things on Amazon that you can buy that are effectively what the Project Q is. It's obviously just not first party, and PlayStation might have their own like benefits from you purchasing that first party device. But for me, like I honestly I don't see myself getting this. If I wanted to buy a new handheld, the one that I'm leaning more towards is the ROG Ally, the new PC handheld that's kind of competing with the Steam Deck. Rob, that thing looks so cool, and I'm so tempted to buy it. It's $1,300. It's a lot of money, but goddamn, being able to play your PC games.
You're talking about the new thing or the Steam Deck?
The new one, because this one is a lot better in terms of like performance and stuff. It's better than the Steam Deck. Like, it's 1080p instead of 720p. Bro, it's running at a better frame rate. Steam Deck still hasn't been released in Australia. And you're right. If we want to buy it here in Australia, we have to use a grey market import or whatever, which you don't get your warranty for. So there's no way we should be buying it here. So that's why I want the ROG Ally. I was in a JB Hi-Fi and I saw it, and I was like, I could buy it right now if I wanted to.
I am not gonna buy the PlayStation Project Q, I guess, just because my son never lets me on it anyway. Like, he may actually, you know what?
He might.
Maybe it's a gift for him. He might like it. It might be a good birthday present. Might be a good birthday present.
I'll ask you this then.
Like I said, prices.
Yeah, what price would be reasonable for you to buy this for your son? $200. Yeah, I agree. I agree. No more. And that's AUD.
No more. Not a dollar. Not a cent more.
Yeah.
Not a single cent.
100%.
201 cents is a no deal.
Yeah. Could you get any more than that? You're getting close to the price of a Switch.
I'll go as high as 206.
Nah, yeah, I agree. 200, because like if you get to 250, right, then you're like, well, I could just spend another $100 and buy a Switch, and that's literally a dedicated thing that you could take wherever. Yeah. So
and 250 just like I could, I don't know what it is, but in my head I can sit with 200.
Yeah,
like for an accessory anyway, because that's what it is. It's an accessory.
Yeah, for sure. So that is all the games news. We're not going to talk about too much because we're going to space some of it out so we can talk about it in the next couple of episodes that we're pre-recording. So next up, we've got what we're watching/playing. Rob, what have you been getting up to these past few days?
Okay. Now, have you heard of a game called RimWorld?
Yes, I have heard of RimWorld. Yes.
I would hope everyone has heard of it. It's only the single most iconic, like, what is it? What a colony simulator ever made. Okay, I've recently just downloaded another 160 mods and gonna take it for a little bit of a spin, mate. A little bit of a spin.
Can I ask you, are you spending more time modding this thing than actually playing it?
Nah, I got a total of 732 hours into the game.
That's a lot. That's a lot of play time.
I know.
Nice.
I know.
What are the mods you're really excited for?
Not excited. So there's like a bunch. Everyone who mods RimWorld needs and I'm not going to cover those, but they are, and not exclusive to the ones that's like allow all, Doctor Now, like a lot of UI, Dubs UI, yada yada yada. Okay, they're not the game changing ones. The game changing ones that I enjoy is like Dubs heating and Dubs water. So like it makes your colonists need to be able to drink water and shower and bathe and use the toilet and stuff like that, as well as they need just new heating appliances, which is pretty cool. I install like a bunch of fantasy mods, so there's magic and classes and monster looking dinosaurs and shit running around.
Nice.
So they're really cool. Like some AI mods as well, so that the AI is actually doing stuff to try and kill you.
Yeah.
Like whilst you're doing stuff to not die. It's cool. It's honestly an endless game. You can you can spend forever playing. Because I felt I got an itch to play a colony survival game, and I actually bought the amazing Cultivation Simulator. You've ever heard of that one?
That's okay. I'll be honest, I haven't. No.
Okay. Well, the amazing Cultivation Simulator is like RimWorld, but it's like it's based in China, and all your colonists are cultivation artists. Do you know what a cultivation is? Like,
I mean, yeah, loosely, but I couldn't define it for you.
Yeah, like I forget the words for it, but like the Chinese core powers sort of thing. I forget the word for it, but yeah. I'm butchering trying to. Okay, anyway, I tried playing it and I got absolutely less than 0% idea on what the hell is going on at any given time. It is the weirdest, craziest crap you've ever seen, and yeah, I'm not going to return it because I feel like I will jump back into it one day, but I need something that I understand a little better. It is a little bit more English, so I'm playing RimWorld at the moment.
I have no idea what I'm looking at. Jesus Christ.
Neither did I. That's why I'm playing RimWorld. In terms of watching or reading, nothing. I'm not watching anything. There's a couple on the new season that I'm interested in watching on Crunchyroll, but they're only about 3 or 4 episodes in, and I don't want to burn through them and then have to watch them weekly.
Yeah, fair.
Just yet. I'll end up having to. But you know what I have started watching? Don't ruin it for me because you've probably watched it already, is The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah, sick. Are you finding it?
I haven't, mate. Honestly, it would have to be probably one of the best opening episodes to a series I've ever seen. Like it had everything. It had everything, and it's perfectly spaced. The acting is top notch. The development is top notch. The scenery and CGI effects is all top notch. It's just it's a beautiful show. And I haven't even played the game.
Oh, so you don't know anything that happens, like, period.
I got no idea. So I am pumped, dude.
You are in for a ride. I won't say anything there because I went into it having played the game and just appreciated it because it's a new medium of a game that I loved with really good actors like Pedro Pascal. Yeah, is so good, and Bella Ramsey as well was incredible. She got a lot of hate, a lot of criticism going in because she didn't look the part, but she nailed it. She is so good. You're going to really come to love the series.
Yep. So that's me. What about yourself?
So, as I flagged last week, I've been watching a few different things to help with the podcast recordings.
Crash coursing.
Correct. Today, I'll talk about Psycho Pass. So Psycho Pass is it's this really cool kind of, for the lack of a better term, cyberpunky anime where there is this system by the government. It's like a supercomputer which can essentially judge the citizens' predisposition to committing crimes, and it's called the Psycho Pass. And you have and I'm sure there's a movie that's a very, very similar concept as this. And then you have the police force who you follow through the series. Essentially hunt down and capture or kill these criminals based on their Psycho Pass meeting. So citizens will be walking along and they'll get tagged by a camera that's like, your Psycho Pass is too high, you need to go to therapy. And if they avoid that suggestion, then the level could get to the stage where they need to be taken in. And as the police come in, they have these guns called the Dominators, I think they're called. And the gun will change shape depending upon someone's Psycho Pass meter. So if they're like moderately dangerous, they'll have like a stun gun. And if they're too dangerous, it'll turn into a lethal gun that'll kill them and explode them on the spot. It is such a fascinating concept. I'm really enjoying it. I love the setup to it. And the crimes that they investigate too. Super interesting to me, man. I love the series.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure, now that you say it, I'm pretty sure there's like several movies based on that. Like, I feel like I've seen several.
But I'm not much of a movie buff, so I know for sure there is one movie with this exact same concept.
Yeah, it's really well done as well. Like the animation is perfect. The spacing of the characters and the development. It's like you got to give it to these these artists? Are they like artists and producers
Yeah.
of these anime shows? Because they're given about 20 minutes of time to try and develop a character slow enough that you feel like there's growth, and that you're getting to know them, but fast enough that it fits in the segment and doesn't need 60 episodes for you to get through, because a lot of these seasons are like 12 episodes long. It is such a tricky tightrope they have to dance. And mate, Psycho Pass is top-notch quality, pure quality.
I'm really enjoying it, and I'm pretty much just going to download everything and watch it on my holiday. And yeah, I'm at the point in my kind of anime watching, because I mentioned this last week. I'm a very much of a casual anime fan, and I've only really started getting into watching like anime properly recently. This, I would say, is my first anime that I'm just going through in Crunchyroll. I saw it looked interesting, and I'm watching it. I wouldn't say that this is like one of the top big anime out there. Like everyone knows about it. Everyone knows about Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer and all that. This is the first proper one for me that I'm watching and giving a chance, because it looked interesting to me. And I think that's why I'm so excited about it, because I actually found something that was really good.
You know what, bro? I think you've just promoted yourself.
Have I?
I think you're due for a promotion, mate. I don't think you're casual anymore. I think you're whatever's after it.
Intermediate.
Just after it. Nah. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right. I think you're like Greenhorn. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I like it.
Fresh blood, but you're in the army. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If this was like karate, I'd be a yellow belt, I reckon. I've gone past the white belt.
Well, you've got stripes at least, you know. You got stripes at least.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying this. And to be fair, to get to this, there were a couple of things that I watched, but I'm going to be talking about those in the next couple of episodes.
Dude, don't blow through our content.
No, exactly right. And in terms of what I've been playing, go on.
I think Psycho Pass is on Netflix if you want to watch it in bed one time.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. You should type in anime on Netflix, and you'll be surprised with what's there. There's actually some really high quality ones.
So there is, and the one that I've already watched the first episode. I want to. Demon Slayer is there. I mean, like a bunch of like general stuff I know is on Netflix, but the one thing that's only on Netflix, I think, that I watched the first episode and it intrigued me was Record of Ragnarok, and apparently it's having a really, really good season. Is it good?
Really? I
don't know. I haven't watched it.
I don't know. I think it's very terrible. But I couldn't even watch the first episode, like get through maybe I'm up to the second episode. It's a grind. It doesn't even make sense. I don't know.
No,
it's just not my flavor.
It's a slow start apparently, but apparently recently it has been getting much better. And to be fair, I watched freaking Bucky for like 2 seasons, and that is the weirdest anime you'll ever watch in your life. So, you know what I mean?
It's terrible too.
Here's the thing: it's terrible, but I kept watching it because I love the fights.
You know what was on? Was on Netflix, which was pretty good. 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh, I need to watch that. Yeah,
that was really cool. It had really dropped the ball in the last couple seasons, but up until then, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. I'm going to be watching.
What you been playing too?
Dude, I've not been playing much. I've been trying to freaking get through Final Fantasy 16, but for whatever reason, it's kind of like with God of War. I'm just slowly getting through it. I'll play it for an hour or two, and then I'll drop it for a week, and then I'll play it again. So that's the game that I'm slowly
Lucky you have that
through.
Cloud save, bro. Lucky you have that cloud save.
Yeah, I could uninstall it. I tell you what, I do want to give a shout out now that we're mentioning Final Fantasy 16. They updated the game and they allowed us to toggle off motion blur. Looks so much better. Thank you, Square. Holy crap, that was the best change you could have made, because I did not like the motion blur. And as soon as I turned it off, I'm like, this game looks incredible. So thank you for doing that.
That's one thing I turn off a lot of the times too.
Every time.
I didn't even notice. Well, I didn't even notice I didn't like it until I saw, I think, a streamer do it. And I was like, is that a thing? And then I turned it off, and it's like I was wearing glasses my entire life.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It's always bad.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. But hey, On games though, just before we jump into some viewer questions,
Yeah.
have you heard of the mod for Fallout 4 called Frost?
Yeah, I've heard of Frost. I haven't played it, but I've heard of Frost. Why is that?
I watched a guy play on Frost survival mode yesterday, and it looks absolutely AIDS hard. Like,
And I'm sure you loved it for that reason, and you wanted to play it.
like hard. Hey, boy, it got me itchy. It got me itchy.
Got you sweaty.
Because, like, mate, he was getting punished for everything, and I just liked what I was seeing. I don't know. I do love hard games. I do. But, like, and this isn't to say that I like hard games, because, like, hard on Skyrim doesn't tickle my fancy, because, you know, I like hard games that can be beaten if you use your old think tank a little bit, if you persist a little more, or if you take the long way instead of the shortcut way, or if you build your characters very min-maxy. I like that sort of hardness. But yeah. Just wanted to know if you've played it because it looks cool.
Yeah, no, I haven't, and I'm saving my next Fallout 4 playthrough until the next gen kind of remaster thing that they're doing, or remake thing they're doing. I don't know what we're calling it.
I've been thinking about, like, I've wanted to get back into it, but since you've brought that up, in an episode a little while ago, I can't get into it knowing that it's going to be rebooted. I don't want that to
for sure
burn me out. Save myself.
And apparently it's still this year. Apparently end of the year. Apparently that's like they said it's coming this year. They haven't said when, but since Starfield's coming out in 38 days.
There's a couple of games. Did you say Starfield's coming out in 30 days?
Like 38 days, yeah, something like that.
Mate. Mate. Clear the calendar.
I know, right?
But there's so many games that I'm saving myself for like the end of the year, because they're all bringing out like a big patch, like Cyberpunk. The DLC for that's coming out as well, and I've been itching to play a replay of that. Elden Ring is going to drop some DLC soon, so I don't want to make a new character on that either. Oh my goodness, there's so much to do, so little time.
I was reading something, right? I don't know if you can vouch for this, but someone was saying with the new Cyberpunk update coming, if you're a new player, it's best to actually start a new playthrough then, instead of like finishing the game for that. I don't know why. But that might actually be what I do when I get back. It's hard because there's so many things I want to play. Like as soon as I get back from my holiday, Starfield's like the following week. But there's that. There's the new. Like I do want to get into Cyberpunk eventually.
You're using all your holiday leave before Starfield comes out.
I still got a week saved for Starfield. Don't you worry. The week after.
I gotta find some holidays. Like I'm gonna be training. I gotta find some holidays.
Time to play it.
Gotta go lick subway benches.
That was what we're watching / playing, and finally we've got viewer questions. If you want to have us answer your questions, please let us know your questions in the comments below. We unfortunately probably won't get to answer these questions just because of the timing that we're recording these podcasts, but give it a month's time, we'll circle back and we'll eventually answer the questions in this video. So first up, Rob, I got a question for you from GopNop1057. Says, can't wait to see you back in the cage, Rob. This one loss isn't going to define your career, and I think you know this. You're going to bounce back. Have you thought about taking a match at light heavyweight?
I have thought and played with the idea. Thank you for the support, by the way. I have thought and played with the idea, but mate, they are some big boys in the light heavyweight division. Like, not just with like height. There are some really tall dudes there. But I'm still not ruling it out. I'd like to get in heavier at that. I think I have room to play at my current weight division. I think I can put on some size. I think I can cut a little more. I think I've been taking it too easy in my last couple of fights, if I'm going to be honest. So I think I can come in a little heavier. But, you know, it might be in the cards moving down the track for sure.
Yeah, sweet. Next question from Dunham8807. A question for Jonny, working in the games industry. Do you ever get burnt out from gaming? 1,000%. Now, I wanted to clarify, I don't work in games anymore. Last year is when I left Bethesda. But when I was working at Bethesda, and it wasn't even because of Bethesda specifically, it's just a games industry thing. Your entire job is not playing games, obviously, but dealing with games. And for me, the biggest game was Fallout 76. So that was my job most of the day, responding to questions, talking to the community, reporting bugs, all that kind of stuff. And then I would go home and I would play Fallout 76 because I needed to get good at the game, both for work and also for my YouTube channel. And then I would make YouTube videos on Fallout 76. And that was my life for like 2 years or more than that. So I got so burnt out just because of that scenario. No fault of Bethesda or anything, just because of the situation, that I just can't play the game anymore. I got so burnt out by it just because of too many competing things at once. So yeah, it happens. It for sure happens.
Mate, you force anyone to play the same game, and that's why I got to give it to. So there's a few game reviewers that I listen to that just review game day after day, like a new game, and mate, hats off. Like it would drive me insane because I don't know how they switch games so often and give each game the same enthusiasm as the last. It's a tricky gig, and respect.
Yeah, especially YouTubers that create guides and should do tutorials and stuff, because to do that, you really do need to know the game and be almost an expert at it. Otherwise, you don't really know what you're talking about. So to do that for every major game release is just insane. Now, obviously, a lot of these guys do it full time, but just the mental capacity to be able to do that would just be overwhelming. So it's happened to me, and that's because I worked in games. Next question that we have is from Martin Theron 1386. Ask the question: I would love to hear what Rob thinks of DDP's chance against Izzy. What do you think, man?
Oh, mate. That's tricky because I thought his chance against me was bugger all. And then he went ahead and beat me. So he's got a chance. He's got a chance. I think he just does what he does, which is get in there. Well, make it ugly, make it a dogfight. Get in there, and go out on his shield the way he always has, and he might make it a harder fight for Izzy than everybody would think so.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the emotions, for whatever reason, are high in this potential upcoming fight. I say potential; it's going to happen at some stage. Izzy could make a mistake. He could let those emotions get the better of him. So we'll see. I do like Dricus' chances against Izzy as well. And one more question to end out the podcast episode from AO30S. Literally every username has had numbers in it. I've just noticed that. They asked the question: Xbox versus PlayStation.
There's that many usernames. I've never had to put numbers after them. Like some of the Gopnop. There's a second man in the world that was like, you know what I want my YouTube username to be? Gopnop. What do you mean it's taken? Like, that would blow my mind. Unreal. So AO30S asked the question: Xbox versus PlayStation versus PC. Rob, what is your preference? What's your favorite? Mate, I'm a PC gamer, bro. It's like
fair.
Honestly though, like, I'll use whatever I have to.
Yeah.
Like Demon's Souls didn't come on any other platform, so I got a PS5. And
that's true.
Same thing across the board. But I'm a PC guy through and through. Like, that's my main station. This where I sit. This is my zero reference XY in the universe. So
for sure. For me, I'm torn. I'll be honest. If I didn't get into the YouTube game, I probably never would have gotten into PC gaming. Just because they're pretty expensive, and ultimately I can play most of those games on either Xbox or PlayStation. If I was to give a preference now, it would have to be PC. Like, I could not do what I do in game without my PC. But I also wish Nintendo was in this race as well, because at least as a kid,
add
Nintendo
it.
was absolutely my favorite.
Just add it. Nobody even saw the question. Just add the question.
No.
Xbox versus PlayStation versus Switch versus PC. Which one?
I would say PC. If I could even rank these, PC right now. PlayStation.
Don't like that. I don't like temporary things. I want an all time greatest.
Okay, if it's all time, then Nintendo's second for sure. All time, it's probably first, actually. If we're including my childhood, Nintendo has to be first. And then PC, and then PlayStation, and then Xbox. I float in between the consoles, to be fair. Like, some weeks I'll just play my Nintendo Switch because Zelda just dropped or whatever. Other weeks I'll play just my PlayStation 5 because Final Fantasy 16 dropped. And other weeks I'll just play my PC because, like, Starfield's about to drop, so I'll be on my PC. So it just depends what the flavor of the month is, to be honest.
The only console I haven't spent a lot of time on, well, I have spent a lot of time on it, but I want to say that I haven't because I've only ever played one game, and that's the Switch. And yeah, there hasn't been a lot of games that grab me on the Switch. The only reason I have a Switch here at the moment was because of Super Smash Bros. So I could just piece up my friends. This is to you, Murphys. I pieced you up, and you know it. Now the world knows it. But that's about it. I got into like the Pokemon when what is it?
Yeah,
Arceus, Aurelius, Arceus.
Yeah.
Arceus. Yeah, I got into that. But
that was really good. I enjoyed that.
All my Pokemon just ended up becoming Geodudes or Onyxes. And then I got flogged, and I refused to use any other type of Pokemon. And like I only pick Machop, Geodude, Onyx. Like they're my boys, and bro, they have a lot of weaknesses, man.
You're literally Brock, the gym leader. You just all rock Pokemon,
dude. Like, and fighting type, but oh man, they're just so cool, especially in that game. When you see Matt Champ, dude, he's huge, and then you get an alpha one, and he's extra huge. So cool. So cool, dude.
I love that so much. I am surprised though that you don't play more indie games on the Switch. Like, that thing is like built for you.
Yeah,
surely.
It's called my PC.
Yeah, exactly. You've got that, like, and then you got your laptop that you can play all those games on the go, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the indie game selection for Switch is like this. No, that does them a discredit. It's actually pretty big now, but comparatively to the PC, where it's home of indie, is just no contest.
Fair. But that is it. That was episode 16. Actually, episode 16 of MMArcade.
Realsy.
Yeah, right? So, as I mentioned, so essentially tomorrow night and the night after that, we're going to try and pre-record another 2 podcasts. So we're going to be speaking about upcoming events pretty far in advance. Rob, I was like thinking to myself, praying that none of these main events change. Because if they do, the podcast is useless.
We should do reactions for the fight cards that'll happen in the meantime. Like we're almost predicting the future, but not from the future because it gets posted in like post-fight.
I love that so much. Wait, but we can't because by Thursday we're still not seeing another fight, which sucks.
And it's not even going to be clickbait because we'll put 295 recap, and it'll just be us recapping absolute garbage, making it up, dude. Oh, dude, that'll be sick.
I would
kind of want to do
it,
but I feel like it would
to see that.
Yeah, I want to do it, but I feel like it would hurt our credibility a little bit. But let us know in the comments below, guys, if you're interested in that. But that's us. Thank you so much. Don't forget to sub, hit the bell, send it to your friends, and everything else. Yell it from the windows.